Have you ever noticed something small about your body that didn't quite feel right, but you brushed it off, thinking, well, that's just age? Maybe your hand felt a little stiff while buttoning a shirt, or your foot didn't quite keep up during your walk to the kitchen. It's easy to chalk these things up to growing older, but sometimes the body whispers long before it shouts. And when it comes to conditions like Parkinson's, those whispers matter more than we think. Parkinson's disease is often thought of as something that shows up out of the blue in your later years. But in truth, the signs can quietly begin creeping in years, sometimes decades before an official diagnosis. That means being aware of these early signals isn't about fear. It's about preparation, about giving yourself the best chance to stay ahead of the curve. Because the sooner you notice, the more you can do. Today, we're going to have a gentle but eye-opening conversation. We're going to talk about 5 early body signs that could mean you're at risk of developing Parkinson's after age 80. These aren't meant to alarm you, but to empower you. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's peace of mind. So, let's begin with something many people experience and overlook. Have you ever realized your handwriting has changed? Not dramatically, just gotten smaller, more cramped, or harder to read over time. You're writing the same letters, but somehow they're tinier, squeezed together. This subtle shift is called micrographia, and it's one of the earliest motor signs doctors often see in people who later develop Parkinson's. You might think, well, my hands just get tired faster now, and sure, that could be part of it. But if the letters are consistently shrinking and the control just isn't what it used to be, it's worth paying attention. Try writing the same sentence once a week and compare them. Sometimes, the difference is clearer than you expect. Another sign that often goes unnoticed is a change in your walking pattern, especially something called a dragging foot. It might feel like one foot isn't lifting as high as it used to. Or maybe you find your feet shuffling a little when you walk, like they're resisting that natural swing. You're not tripping or falling, but you do catch yourself being more cautious on the stairs, more deliberate when you move from room to room. This isn't just about aging joints. It can be the brain's early struggle to communicate smoothly with your muscles. And if one foot consistently feels heavier or slower, don't just ignore it, talk to someone. Now, let's talk about the face. Has anyone ever asked if you're upset, even when you feel perfectly fine? Or told you that your expression seems blank or distant lately? That subtle change, called facial masking, is another early sign. It doesn't mean you're sad, it just means the muscles that show your feelings might be slowing down. You might not notice it yourself, but people close to you might. So, if your grandchild says, "Grandpa, why are you frowning?" when you're just sitting peacefully, it might be worth listening. These aren't signs that mean something is definitely wrong, but they are like yellow lights on the dashboard, signals that it's time to slow down, check in, and take charge of your health. And while we've just begun exploring what the body might be trying to tell us, the conversation doesn't stop here. Because sometimes the body speaks in the quietest ways, like through your sense of smell. Strange, isn't it? We don't often link sniffing flowers or catching the scent of dinner on the stove with our brain's health, but in fact, one of the most surprising early signs of Parkinson's is a loss or change in your sense of smell. You might notice that foods you once loved don't have the same aroma anymore, or perhaps you find yourself asking, is something burning? When no one else smells anything. This isn't just an odd quirk of getting older. The nerves involved in smelling connected to areas of the brain that Parkinson's affects early on. So if your morning coffee doesn't smell like it used to, or your favorite perfume seems weaker, don't dismiss it. Especially if it's happening gradually over time, without a cold or sinus issue to explain it. It's one of those subtle but powerful clues. And then there's sleep, something many people over 60 already struggle with. But this isn't just about waking up to use the bathroom or having trouble falling asleep. I'm talking about sudden, intense movements while you're dreaming, punching, kicking, flailing your arms. Maybe you've startled your partner in the night or woken up with the sheets tangled and twisted around you. This kind of vivid, physical dreaming can be a sign that something deeper is shifting in the brain. It's called REM sleep behavior disorder, and in many cases, it shows up years, sometimes decades before other Parkinson's symptoms become obvious. It's easy to shrug it off and say, "Oh, I just had a crazy dream." But if these movements are happening often or becoming more intense, it's worth looking into, especially if they're accompanied by other subtle body changes like stiffness or slower walking. These signals are like puzzle pieces. Alone, they may not tell you much, but together, they can form a bigger picture. And let's not forget something we all experience from time to time: fatigue. But this isn't your typical "I didn't sleep well" tiredness. It's the kind of deep, dragging fatigue that doesn't lift even after a good night's rest. You might wake up and already feel worn down. Tasks that used to be simple, watering the plants, reading the paper, getting dressed, start to feel like uphill battles. And it's not just in your body, it's in your spirit. You might feel slower, mentally foggy, or emotionally flat. Of course, fatigue can come from many sources: medications, diet, stress. But if it sticks around, and you're also noticing other small changes in your movements, expressions, or sleep, it may be your body waving a flag, asking you to pay closer attention. Parkinson's doesn't knock loudly at the door, it slips in quietly, step by step, year by year. And that's why listening to these early signs, however subtle, isn't about fear. It's about giving yourself a head start, a chance to speak with your doctor, explore options, and make lifestyle changes that protect your independence for years to come. It may sound strange, but your gut is often one of the first places Parkinson's begins to leave its fingerprint. Long before tremors or stiffness appear, changes in how your digestive system moves can be an early warning. Not the occasional sluggish day, we all have those, but a pattern. If you've noticed that your bowel movements have become fewer and harder to pass, and lifestyle changes like more water or fiber aren't helping, it could be more than just a digestive hiccup. That's because Parkinson's affects the autonomic nervous system, the part of your brain that handles things you don't have to think about, like digestion. When that system slows down, the muscles in your intestines don't contract the way they used to. The result, everything gets stuck. And over time, it becomes your body's way of whispering, something deeper is going on. Now, let's pause for a moment and breathe. These signs: smaller handwriting, dragging feet, reduced facial expression, loss of smell, vivid dreaming, overwhelming fatigue, constipation, they don't guarantee you'll get Parkinson's. Many people experience one or two and never develop the condition. But when several of these changes start to show up together, especially after age 60 or 70, it's worth taking seriously, not to panic, but to prepare. Because early action opens the door to early support. And that's the real power in knowing, whether it's through medication, physical therapy, brain-healthy nutrition, or movement exercises that keep your body and mind sharp. There's so much you can do. You don't have to go through it alone, either. Talk to your doctor. Bring it up with your children. Join a community group online or in person. These conversations, while hard to start, can lead to the kind of peace that only comes from taking control of your future. So let's gently summarize what we've talked about, not as a checklist to worrying over, but as a handful of signals worth paying attention to. Subtle changes in how you write, walk, express emotion, smell the world, dream, feel energy, and digest food. All tiny shifts that, when noticed early, could help you live a longer, healthier, more independent life. Remember, small changes matter. They're often the first step toward bigger breakthroughs in how we take care of ourselves. And just because we grow older doesn't mean we grow powerless. You're wiser now, stronger in ways you weren't when you were younger, and your future is still in your hands. If you've experienced any of these signs, or if something in your body just feels off, trust your gut and check in with a professional. It's not about being fearful. It's about being mindful and staying in charge of your life. If this video helped you in any way, feel free to share your story in the comments. Let others know they're not alone. Like the video if it gave you clarity. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights that support your health, independence, and happiness as you age. Here's to you living fully, boldly, and with the awareness to stay one step ahead, because every day is still yours to shape, and the best chapters can still be ahead. **